Hey guys, what's up? Marthroy here, and welcome to the finale of Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. In the last episode, basically we got the final mask that I missed because it doesn't have any uses, except for the one use that it has, that you would already have the mask. Whatever, I explained it better last video, but we did that. We got the final bottle by doing the other thing you can use the letter 4 in the Andrew Caffey side quest. And in this episode, we are going to finish up the game. So this time, we're going to do this. We're finally putting this song to use. The Oath to Order. This is not counting the time we learned it, the first time that we actually use it for something. Now, in this cutscene, if you did not save any of the giants, you would have had to save the first one to play this song. But if you've not saved any of the giants, the other ones, the ones in the mountain, ocean, or canyon areas, it will show the scene right here, but you won't see the actual giant. You'll just see this part right here, like the background and everything. And if that happens, basically they will try to do what they're about to do and fail, which is hold up the moon. They will attempt to, and it won't work if there is not all four of them, and it will still crash into Clock Town. I am going to show what happens if you actually let the timer run out, because probably most people have not seen it because they were either didn't care enough to activate it, or they were too scared to, or I don't know. But I will be showing that off as well. And since there's two ways to fight the final boss, I'm going to be doing the easy way first, and then I'll show the game over screen, and then I'll show the normal way to fight him. Now keep in mind, you can only fight him the easy way if you have obtained all the other masks. And that includes the non-transformation ones. Because if you've gotten this far in the game, you will have the Deku, Goron, and Zora mask, but you don't need any of the other ones. Except for, like, the Garo mask. But the giant succeeded in saving Clock Town, and apparently somehow the Skull Kid's on the ground now. I guess the song hurt his ears? I don't know. Now this part can change a little bit if you've beat the boss once before, but in this case he'll say, don't be so hard on the Skull Kid, and he'll explain why. Right there, and then it will say instead, Cattle will explain everything, and Tail will go, how did you know that? But anyway, now we have a mystery speaker. Which is not Link, nor the Skull Kid. So the actual boss of Majora's Mask is the actual mask itself, not the Skull Kid. and now the moon is suddenly has its mouth and nose facing towards you instead of to the side like it was a second ago. With the power of Majora's Mask inside the moon itself. So we are in the final area, which is inside the moon itself. And what would you expect it to look like the inside of the moon? Yeah. Plains with the gigantic tree. What's funny though is if you go back far enough in any of the directions, eventually you'll hit an invisible wall, which makes the noises that whenever you hit a normal wall does. So, whoops. So there's no enemies here. Nothing threatening. Doesn't even look threatening. So if we get close enough, you'll see that there's 5 kids. You have Majora's Mask right there, and then you've got these other 4 kids that are running around the tree, and each of the kids has the mask of a boss we've seen before. Uldowa, Goat, Gygorg, and Twin Mold. So, we are going to start in order here, by talking to the Uldowa child. Nice weather, isn't it? Masks. You have a lot. Will you two be a mask salesman? Then I'll play with you. So the masks. Give me some. So in this case, you will be giving up all of your non-transformation masks. The Zora, Deku, and Gorons cannot be given away. I would recommend immediately trying to keep the bunny hood, and if you don't have any of the other masks yet, the mask of the mask of truth, and also try to throw away the ones that you don't think you're going to need. For example, Circus Leader's mask, or Kamaro's mask, Bremen mask, especially the Mask of Sense. So that's the first one I'm going to be ditching. So after you give him one, he'll say, "Let's play hide and seek," and he will transport you to a little area. Now, depending on which child that was, he'll give you a different area. As you can see, Uldowa was the boss that used the Deku mask a lot in that dungeon, so in this case, we're going to be using the Deku mask for this. There's a blue light back there if you want to just return. And each of these areas will have a piece of heart in them. So keep an eye out for that. Now, the reason I said keep the Mask of Truth was if you don't have any of the other masks, you can talk to the Gossip Stones, and they will tell you in the real world where each mask is. So in this case, the owner of Romanai Ranch has Romanai's mask. So you can find out where any of the masks that you might be missing are. The only ones it wouldn't tell you would be the transformation masks, and obviously the Mask of Truth itself, because there's no point. As you can see, there's a little wall right there, so make sure that as long as you're burrowed into that flower, you're alright. And if you go onto this side at the final turn instead of to the left, you can get a piece of heart. So there's 1 down and 3 to go. Okay, I don't think you can make that. If you do happen to fall in here, all that happens is you just get sent back to the start. And And that goes for any of the areas, so it's not like it's going to give you a game over or anything. So if you mess up, you mess up. It's not the end of the world. No pun intended by saying it's the end of the world. Now, I think you need to use the yellow flower for this next one right here. So, ow. I think you need the yellow one because those two branches at the end. If you use the pink flower to get to those, I don't think it's it'll shoot you up high enough to make it. It's strange seeing this come to a close. What, this is like part 35 or 6 or something like that? For those of you that have been around long enough, you know how long the first Majora's Mask LP I did was, and that was 92 parts because I had a 10-minute time limit. It's amazing it only took about a little over a third video-wise, but, you know, that's pretty incredible. And there we go. And if you talk to any of the kids while wearing a transformation mask, or any mask for that matter, they'll say this: that mask, take it off. Want more masks. Alright, so he'll only take one from you. Each child will take a different amount. The first one will take one, the second one will take two, and so on. So we'll give him the circus leader's mask, because that one's useless as well. And then he asks, your friends, what kind of people are they? I wonder, do those people think of you as a friend? Yeah, they ask really psychological questions, because Zelda Dungeon has done an article on this, because it kind of, they're reflecting what the actual Skull Kid was thinking, because Majora's Mask had Skull Kid at his control for so long that he kind of took all the feelings that the Skull Kid was feeling. And basically now you have all this stuff like, are my friends really my friends, or other things like that, which we'll see in a minute. We'll give him the John Darrow mask because that only had one use to it. And Kamaro's mask. This one will take two, so I don't know why the moon's rumbling, even though we're inside it, but I guess it does that. Alright, now, the second one is probably the worst one. Actually, no, it is the worst one by far. Especially for getting the Piece of Heart. This one's easily the worst. You might think it's the second or the third or fourth one, but no, it's actually this one. The Zora one is actually very easy, in my opinion. So in this one, we're going to be going through a gigantic race course. And it's actually quite difficult. You can bounce off these treasure chests, and most of the time, they'll do what they're supposed to, which is send you in a completely different direction, but in that case, it didn't work so well. It doesn't always work, though, so... This one does take quite a long time. Now, you don't have to go very far to actually reach the kid, but if you're going for the Piece of Heart, then you're going to have to do the whole thing, which makes this one easily the worst of all of them. Like, even this first part I'm messing up on, but the worst part is the third part of it, really. It's kind of divided into 3 segments, really. But you can see how bad the controls are for it. Okay, you can just hold down A, you don't have to hold down the analog stick right here. Those little things you're seeing on the ground, I thought those were teleporters. They'll basically take you back to... You can stop right here if you're just going for the kid. The teleporters will just take you back to the start. I guess those are if you mess up and you don't want to fall down into the pit, despite the fact that that doesn't actually do any damage. I've fallen down the pit 4 times, and I think that quarter heart of damage was from the first area because I got hit by the spike. And I have no idea why that happened. Eventually I will start cutting these out until I get my successful attempt. and that one started too late. For the record, these jars right here, they have magic in them, in case you didn't use the Chateau Romani. They're pretty forgiving on magic, fortunately, and there are magic jars later on in the course. So magic's not really your problem overall. It's staying alive on the course. Yeah, see, there's magic right here. You can just stop right here as a... Jeez. I do not like this part right here. Like I said, you can just... Whenever you see that little area right there, basically what you can do is just stop and then walk to the center of it, and then walk straight, and that will take you to the kid. There we go. Alright, I got it. To give you an idea of how long that took, my timer is at 21 minutes right now. Alright, so if I can line this up right there. So what that will do is take you back to the start. Now you don't have to actually go back to the start to get to the kid, but here's the path that you need to take if you're just going to the kid, not for that piece of heart. And then you're going to make one final jump right here. And there you go. Alright, the two masks that were least helpful. Let's see. Keaton mask only had one use. And Giant's mask was only for one room boss, so... So this one asks, what makes you happy, and does it make others happy too? Which goes along the lines of, what the Skull Kid enjoyed, did others enjoy what he did? Which the answer would most likely be no, because like when he stole Majora's mask from the Happy Mask salesman. Alright. You're up next, Georg. Or Georg Child. Alright, so... Bremen Mask didn't have much use. The Couple's Mask didn't have much use. And the Postman's Hat only had one use. I don't know, the Postman's Hat might let you get into the, post office at any time, but I doubt it. Alright, so this one is actually really, really easy. Or at least I think it's really, really easy. Now, if you're doing this by trial and error, it's actually somewhat annoying. So basically what you're going to have here is a waterway, and there's going to be several different tunnels, and you'll be choosing left or right for each path. So for the Piece of Heart, and you know, you can use a whole bunch of different routes, because there's only actually 6 possible ways you can take. 4 lead to a dead end, 1 leads to the Piece of Heart, and then 1 leads to the end of the course. So for the Piece of Heart, I just prefer to do this version, which is on the first turn go to the right, and then from then on just go to the left. and that will take you up here, and the piece of heart is behind this gossip stone. And then just jump down here, and this will take you back to the start. Now, to get to the kid is just as easy. Once again, there's several routes you can take. I just prefer to go left twice and right twice. So yes, the piece of heart and the child are right next to each other. The piece of heart is to the left and the child's to the right. And there he is. See, that one's really easy to do. Alright, next three. Cafe's Mask. Blast Mask, which is useful, but I didn't use it much. And All Night Mask. There is no, it doesn't matter which ones you hand to him, I'm just handing them from order of least important to most important, in my opinion. And this one asks, what is the right thing, and if you do the right thing, does it make everybody happy? Which is kind of an unanswerable question, because a lot of people think what's right and what's wrong can, you know, some people think one thing's right, some people think another thing's right. And there's no way mankind will ever truly find the right answer to anything, probably. So, the final child will ask for 4 masks, which is ridiculous. So we will give him the Romanized Mask, the Gibdo Mask, the Gyros Mask, and probably the Captain's Hat. The Stone Mask is actually pretty useful, I think, overall. Of the non-transformation masks, it does have a lot of use to it. And the Captain's Hat is just not as good. The Great Fairy Mask we used in all the dungeons, so of course that's helpful. There's no reason to even explain why the Bunny Hood's helpful. And the only reason I kept the Mask of Truth was just to let you know about the Gossip Stone things. And if you do want to check any, you will want to save it for the last. So this one right here basically lets you stock up on, these would normally be hearts, magic, and this is going to be just a whole bunch of mini-boss fights. Which, this area is not hard at all. This is the easiest of the 4 that I think of. Maybe the third one's the easiest, but this one's still pretty easy. The only difficult one is that second one. So we'll use the Great Fairy Sword and kill him in 1 hit. And move on. Try not to use up your arrows if you're going to fight the final boss the real way. Alright. The piece of heart's behind one of these Gossip Stones when you're going between areas. Okay, can we all target him, please? Yeah, I'm being reckless, but whatever. I don't care. Die he shall, leaving no corpse. And while you think this treasure might be like, oh, it's a dungeon item or something like that, actually it's not. That is just a way to get up there, because Nintendo was too lazy to make a ladder. Apparently programming a chest is easier than programming a ladder. All this has is some arrows, which you actually do need, so. Still no piece of heart. I know it's back there, though. I remember this one, because it was so stupid easy to find. Once again, we're going to use the Great Fairy Sword. And just go crazy on it. Remember, these things still do a lot of damage, so don't think they don't. Those things can stew dill. Yes, they can stew dill full 4 farts of damage. And eat the bomb chew. Why they give it to you so late in the game, I will never know. Now, I think you can actually use it. Is it on the... Yeah, there's a cracked wall up there. That's what that's for. So, if you stand about on this line right here, and I think count to 2, and then let it go. Okay, let's try counting to 3. 1, 2, 3. How about now? Yep, there we go. Shoot the eye switch. And we move on. Oh, it's not even behind one. It's in plain sight. If you missed that, I'm amazed. So there's all 20 hearts. So we got all the pieces of heart. Once again, we're going to have to do this. I'm going to say count to 2 on this one because it's on the ceiling. And that would be a good decision. So stand in the middle, count to 2, and let it go. And we need a fire arrow for this. I never understood why this was a switch that had a fire arrow, because you don't find another switch that you need an ice arrow for, or a light arrow for. Which, there's no switches for a light arrow other than the sun switches, but still. It always seemed weird just to make that one. Whatever. So, the final 4 masks, which are the Stone Mask, the Great Fairy Mask, the Mask of Truth, and the Bunny Hood. Stone Mask. Great Fairy Mask. Mask of Truth. And Bunny Hood. Looks weird having no more slots left over there, doesn't it? And then he asks your true face. What kind of face is it? The face on the mask, is that your true face? Now, if you want to get there faster, and since the Bunny Hood's gone, you can just use the Goron mask and roll up there. That'll take less time, too. So if you want to make it go by a little bit faster. Alright, so, if you talk to him while wearing a mask, I don't know if he says the same dialogue or if it's different. Your real face, show it to me. Yeah, there we go. His dialogue's slightly different. So, let's talk to him. Everyone has gone away, haven't they? Will you play with me? Sure, why not? You don't have any masks left, do you? Well, we have the transformation ones. Well, let's do something else. Let's play good guys against bad guys. Yes, let's play that. And he gives you the Fierce Deity's mask, or Deities. Could this mask's start powers be as bad as Majora? Try it on with C. It can only be used in a boss room, though. You're the bad guy. When you're bad, you just run. Which is kind of funny, because he perceives you as the bad guy, and then that goes back to being what people think is right or wrong. So it's kind of interesting, actually. So, I'm going to be doing this fight first with the Fierce Deity mask, so let's go ahead and put that on. And basically what that does is transform you into this huge guy with a monster sword, like a big Goron sword, and if you L-target and hit B, you can shoot out beams of energy. They do eat up magic, but if you've got the Chateau Romani, that's not even a problem either. So the 4 masks will go away from you and end up on the walls. And Majora's mask will come from the wall, sprout tentacles, and so begins the final boss fight. So for this first one, just, if you're going to use the Fierce Deity mask, just do this. And halfway through the fight, these masks will come alive, and they will shoot stuff at you. And they will stay through the entire fight, so I'd recommend getting rid of them first. That's it. Dude, the guys are there. There we go. Yeah, see, they only take 1 slash with the Fierce Deity mask, so now let's go back to Majora's mask and just continue this. And since clearly that would be way too easy, and since he has 3 forms, we're moving on to phase 2, which is actually the easiest phase of the 3. Which is Majora's Incarnation, which is a chicken. Yeah. Really, the only threat this thing poses is the fact that it can run really quickly. Other than that, no threat at all. It does have 1 attack, which is it can shoot a beam at you, but you can reflect that, so that is really, really easy. And the final form, which is obviously the hardest, it also looks really creepy, is Majora's Wrath. Just all these little tentacle things. Vines, I guess is what people like. Now, for the record, after I beat him, I'm going to be skipping the final cutscene and then fighting him the real way, and you'll see the real cutscene after that and the game over thing.